we both own properties. Zach owns properties, I own properties, and a lot of people, they're very tempted to buy their first property as soon as they start in this business. And today's podcast topic is, when should you buy your first rental property? How should you buy your first rental property? And what should it be? So I think the first most important topic that we'll cover is when. I think the second most important topic is, how are you getting the money? Because you're going to need money to buy a rental property. How are you going to get that money? I think we know it's through wholesaling. And then also, what are you buying? Are you buying a seller finance deal? Are you buying a subject to deal? Are you buying a Section 8 house? Are you buying multifamily? Are you paying cash? Are you getting a loan? What are you doing and why? So I think we should start with how many doors we have. Zach's not actually going to tell us, but maybe he can give us some hints. Zach, what do you own? Tell me the asset class. What type of assets do you own?
So, I mean, any type of millennial asset class, I will tell you I do own. I will tell you that about half of it is in real estate and the other half is in other type of assets. I am very big on time management with my assets, right? So one thing that's kind of important is like, yeah, I own stocks, a lot of them. And
Really?
oh yeah, I'll be completely honest with
Really?
everyone watching this. Like on average, if I were to go pour 5 million bucks into something, I know I could probably make 15, 20% on average past what 8, 9 years I've been doing this with stocks and things like that. Obviously, I've gotten lucky, but I'm not the expert with this type of stuff. I've been very, very, very blessed with just getting lucky with stupid things. I've had buddies that are very into things. They say, "Hey, do this," and I think, "I'll pour 10 grand into it," and it blows up, right? There's also another type of asset class, which I don't want to say for the algorithm because then it'll turn me into this type of thing. I've had very, very, very smart techie friends in high school that when I started making money in wholesaling, they told me to go buy it and it's blown up like crazy. And yeah,
Interesting.
I'm not going to mention it, but like it's all, online stuff. And so I can tell you the best ROI I've ever had by far is with the alternative stuff. But really, if I look at the best like ROI in general, it's going to be real estate like investing. So more specifically, not rentals, because I think rentals are dogs, like absolute dog. Like I buy it and I rent it out. That does way worse than any. It does worse than the S&P 500. Like especially,
Really?
oh, come on. Like what's the S&P returns over the past like 10, 15 years? It's
Oh
nice.
man.
It's over 10%, right?
We're
But
gonna
like,
have a controversial podcast. We're gonna have a controversial podcast today. We both have the degree. The sum of my business. What did you major
oh
in?
yeah. I majored in business administration.
Administration, right? The sum of my degree was compounding interest and how to build your resume. It was getting your
What's that?
Roth IRA, putting money into the Roth IRA, waiting until you're 60, taking it out untaxed. And it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
honestly one of the safest, most reliable investments that you could possibly make. And as a
Oh
normal
yeah.
person, it will make you rich when you're 60. But rich, and I mean, you'll have $3.5, $4 million when you're 60 if you max your Roth IRA every single year, maybe $5 million. But you got to think about what that money is going to be in 60 years. I think if you're an average individual and you're working a 9 to 5 job, a W-2 job, your best bet for investing, if you're not making enough to get into real estate, probably the S&P 500. Probably
Oh yeah. By
NASDAQ,
far.
S&P 500, bundle of stocks. You can't lose. It's impossible to lose with that investment strategy. Now, here's where it gets a little bit complicated. The types of investments I buy aren't really accessible to the public unless you are a master cold caller. So I can't recommend what I buy because I'll give you an example of what I just bought. And this is why I say it's going to be a controversial podcast, because what I buy destroys stocks, absolutely
Oh
wrecks
yeah.
it. I just bought a fiveplex in Omaha, Nebraska about 3 days ago. I bought a fiveplex in Omaha, Nebraska.
Mhm.
I have a total payment on my fiveplex of $2,500. It's currently rented out for $4,900. And after all expenses, I make something like $1,300 per month. Management, vacancy, whatever it may be. $1,300 per month. I entered that deal for $68,000. So that's a solid return, but that's not where the return ends. I own it on a 0% interest set of payments. So I have a 7 year balloon on, or a 6 year balloon on it. And in 6 years' time, I pay down half of what I owe. And then I can pull money out of that to acquire more. But the problem with that is I can't say, oh, just go buy something like that, because how did I get it? I hit the phones religiously, like literal manual labor to get that sort of stuff. Like you have to religiously hit the phones. Within the same pen stroke of that notary showing up to my property, I purchased a single family in the Poconos. Poconos is a vacation town. It's in Pennsylvania. It's this ski lake forest woodsy town. And on Airbnb in 1 year, it did 110,000. I also own that bad boy on a 0% interest set of payments. So the problem with that is I can't tell you, oh, go buy this. Just find it.
Mm.
Just find it. Just go ahead and find it, because how are they going to find it? But at the same time, I don't recommend stocks for people because it's going to make you rich later, not rich right now. And then here's the thing that I don't like.
Mm.
When you put money into the stock market and that money increases over time, if you want payments, dividends off of your stocks, it's not cash flow. I mean, the value in your property goes up and up and up, and the
Mm.
profit you take from it does not decrease. It's not going to decrease the value of your asset. It's just going to be cash flow. I'm going to get tax write offs for it. What I would recommend, honestly, to anybody listening who's going to buy their first rental property, don't buy it yet. Don't buy it yet. Learn how to wholesale houses. Once you learn how to wholesale houses, after a year and a half of wholesaling, then you should consider purchasing your first property. And honestly, if I'm giving you just one property to purchase, Section 8 single family, Memphis, Tennessee, $75,000, 4 beds, 1 bath. That's what I would say. A year and a half into your wholesale journey, I don't honestly, if you can get creative finance on it, great. But it's going to be a challenge to get creative finance unless you're hitting the phones religiously or paying assignment fees. So honestly, what I'm thinking is Section 8 DSCR loan, 20% down on 75,000. Memphis, Tennessee is going to be paying you 1575 per month, and your payment on that is going to be 650. That's going to give you approximately a 40% cash on cash return on your first year, which is disgusting. But that's my sentiment on it. I got to hear Zach's.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways around this, obviously. So I started doing that because I went the stock route pretty much first and foremost because the most important thing is my time. And if when you start owning about 12 rental properties, that turns into 5 to 10 hours a week of work. I don't care what anyone says. It's about every single rental property you have, if you are a master at it, is about an hour a week if you're really good. It's usually more. Once you own 12
Really?
rentals, once you own 12 rentals, it's at least 10 hours of BS. Always, by far. If you're doing it yourself. Are you kidding me? 10 hours. If you look in total, eviction, get them out, issue, AC, this, and that, looking at the property tax, making sure everything's getting paid. Oh, yeah. About,
I have two individuals who have removed that for me. So and
Mhm.
one of them is on $6 per hour, a virtual assistant.
Mhm.
So I have a virtual assistant who managed a portfolio of 240 units,
Mhm.
and his job was to source tenants, hire contractors, and he did it virtually too. Hire
Mhm.
contractors, and I'll be honest, man, I haven't dedicated a single hour to any of my properties, and I'm going to, but it will be for my Airbnb. I'm going to learn the Airbnb process. We closed last week. That's going to probably take me 3, 4 hours a week, like probably a lot of time per week, because I'm going to learn that and then I'm going to teach it to somebody else. But for my long term rentals, dude,
Mhm.
my transaction before I had in-house management, before I had a virtual assistant managing my portfolio, my in-house transaction coordinator did rehab for me, got the contractor, my business partner did that for me. And honestly, at this point, I don't spend any time on my rentals, like no time whatsoever on these properties. I only own creative finance deals, either 0% interest seller finance. I don't own a single seller finance deal that has interest on it at all. And I own 2 to 3% trust acquisition agreements, mortgage takeover deals.
Yeah.
And through loan servicing companies, in house management, my transaction coordinator, and my business partner, I don't spend any money on it, but I think that you need to have, or I don't spend any time on it, but I think you need to have those people in place if it's going to be like that for you.
And those tenants are basically just month to month people, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
those tenants are
monthly.
well, no, actually, no. We have them on 12-month leases. We have them on
Okay.
12-month leases. So no, I don't have any month-to-month tenants. We only do 12-month leases. But I will say that about 3 of my properties out of the 17 aren't rented out. So we just brought on the in-house property management, and the in-house property manager, his job first and foremost, get everything rented out. We've been renovating for the past while. Another thing is, I don't
Mhm.
own any properties that aren't fully renovated. Everything I own is fully fix and flipped, fully done up. not luxury rental renovations,
Wow.
but I don't spend any time on it, man. I know that that's a controversial thing to say, but we've just put some people in place, and we're 18 right now. We're at 18 doors right now, and I don't have any time commitment to it, man.
I love it. How many of those are like actual like standalone buildings?
I have 12 single family properties
There you go.
and one five. I have 12 single family. I have one under contract that I'm closing on right now. So technically 13 single family and one fiveplex in home.
Okay, usually for me, I want a manager on 50, so they
Mm-hmm.
can answer calls, situations, issues, walk the property, things like that. So one for every 50 is usually my spiel. So it's a little, obviously, I think someone dedicated to the property can probably do it in probably like 50 hours a week, and they can handle it each one. Usually 40 if I'm trying to be nice and sweet, but I want them to drive over, see it locally, things like that. Um, that's kind of where I'm at on it. But it's impressive you're able to do that, right? But I guess maybe it's a Florida thing, but like my tenants always have situations. There's always the AC having an issue. And I'm the type of person that wants them, oh, okay, perfect. We're gonna have somebody come by this time, boom, or the property manager comes in, sees the issue, fixes it. Uh, that's kind of the way we like to do it. But I'm a little different demographic probably, right? So my
You
average
are.
rent would be under 3,500, right? These are a lot of 1,500, 2,000,
Me too.
3,000, right? Some of them are mobile homes in Central Florida, right? There's like
Really?
20, 30 mobile home parks and like
Whoa, whoa,
20
whoa,
units.
whoa.
Yeah.
You own mobile home parks?
Yeah. Duh. It's cheap real
Dude,
estate.
dude, that's the best real estate investment you could and I'm just literally
Eh.
speaking from what other people have said, but dude, from what I've heard,
Oh,
mobile home parks are maybe one of the lowest maintenance, highest cash flowing, highest ROI real estate investments you can make. But I
they
don't own
are.
any, so I don't know. This is just what I've heard on podcasts.
Yes, but you got to remember I'm in Florida, so if a Cat 5 hurricane hits it and blows it over, then I'm self-insured on it. But these are like 70, 80% cap rates. One guy told me once, he said if the cap rate's high, you're going to catch a cap. And the truth is, usually the higher the cap rate, the rougher the area. But yeah, these are 67% cap rates, right? And I foam at the mouth on deals like this. Everyone screams at me, "Oh, Zach, why are you so into JVs and why do you always tell people?" And like the truth is, a lot of these guys, like in Flipboard Plus, things like that, hey, I have a mobile home park and they want to sell it owner financing. I'm like, bet. And I have them part owner, and then I have me part owner, and we do it like I've been buying mobile home parks from like students forever, and they're like my little deal finders, kind of like you. It's kind of funny, but those are my
Tell me how
absolute.
that works. Tell me how that works. So
Oh
mobile
yeah.
home park, because this is something I've only heard about. And honestly, guys, what we got to jump into wholesaling in just a second here because I think we're both of the same. I'm just going to assume, would you not recommend buying your first rental property until you know how to wholesale? Like
No,
definitively, you
I
know.
don't think unless you make 100 grand, you should be doing
Okay.
it because I
Okay,
think
good.
I know you're Superman, but I think it sucks a lot of time out of wholesaling, and I
Yep.
think you need to dedicate all your time to be able to make at least 100K a year. Then yeah, go buy rentals. I think rentals are.
Yes.
I think nobody can pick stocks, and I don't tell you to do that. Picking a rental property in a nice area is always going to do well, but it usually sucks 10, 15, 20 hours. That's the same thing about fix and flipping. You turn to a fix and flipper guy, it sucks all the energy out of where it's actually making money.
Don't
Like I
flip.
don't manage my
I
rentals either.
don't
I man,
flip. If you guys are flipping, you're wasting time. I mean,
I
sure,
do
you might.
flip, but
You,
it'd be a wholesale deal that's like, oh, I'm making 40. Well, let's push to 70.
dude,
No, like,
I'm of the exact same opinion. I just posted this on TikTok. I just posted a video. Don't flip a house because I sold this deal to a guy, 232 North Kellner Road in Columbus, Ohio. I got the contract for 100K. We sold it for 118. I checked this thing 2 months later, 3 months later, 232. Look it up right now. 232 North Kellner Road, Columbus, Ohio. For sale on Zillow. He was contingent and it fell out of contract. He's probably paying $4,000 a month for the hard money loan that he used to purchase the property. He only has a gross spread of 70 or so thousand, not including agent fees. Agent fees going to take 8,000 of that. He's already had his hard money loan for 4 months. That's 20,000 or so, 18,000 or so. He's probably only going to make 30K on the flip. I made 18K with a damn phone call. But honestly, I gotta go back to your mobile home park. For anybody who's listening, do not buy a rental property unless you can do 2 to 3 wholesale deals yourself every single month for two reasons. One, capital. Second reason, you need to know what makes a deal a deal. You need to know what makes a cash deal a deal with a loan a deal, a creative finance deal. If you can't look at a property and in 1 minute decide whether or not that's a good deal compared to all the other investments you could make, please do not do it. It's going to take time away. The flip's going to take time away. It's going to cause a lot of pain. But I have to ask, on the side of rental properties, your mobile home parks, you just own the land. And this is one of the only real estate investments where you don't have to build out the land. You just have to put electric, you just have to put water, and then you can rent out little spaces, squares on the mobile home park to people. Is that how that works?
It's there's multiple ways to do it, right? One of my favorites to do, and I know this is really niched out, right? Because I'm in Florida, so everything's very expensive here, relative to income. Okay, so in Oregon, where you're at, like income's higher, so it's less brutal, but it's still brutal. I'm in an area where basically the average house is $500,000. I basically am able to take over properties, and I have a lot of the videos on this on my YouTube, but like where basically I take over a house, like basically on a lease with an option to buy, or maybe like a seller finance for like 150, and $100,000 of that value, or 120, is just the land, and the mobile home's worth 30 grand. So that means, God forbid, a hurricane blows the place over. I just spend 40, 50 grand and put it on, and I only lose 30 or $40,000 if that happens. And there's only been two major hurricanes that have really done that in Florida the past 40 years, and so that's kind of the risk. But that's pretty much it. And I'm able to get 17, 18, $1,900 per month on a $100,000 investment, and the cost is pretty much nothing. I mean, really, really small, tiny things. Renovations like 5 or 6 grand, but those are standalone. So there's two types. It's just I own the land and I own the mobile home. The mobile home is legally a vehicle with the DMV registered, and I just make, usually it's a double wide, right? And I just rent it out, 18, $1,900 a month, maybe 2,000. It's got a 3 bedroom, and it's amazing because the average rents in the area are 28, 2,900. And I have a rule: I like to rent to managers. So currently, some of my top tenants are Denny's managers, Duffy's managers, like restaurant managers. They're usually kept well enough together where they not make a stupid amount of money, but they're still kind of in charge of things where it goes really well. Now, the other type you're thinking of is like trailer trash. That's a different type of type. You know, those are the lower level trailers that you just have a piece of land. It's trailer, 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 mobile home park, 30, 40. The secret of that my dad Rick taught me a long time ago is you find one retired guy in like you take over the park, you find one retired guy, usually ex-cop, ex-security. Hey, I will let you live in your trailer for free. All you need to do is manage it, and I'll pay you just a little bit. And they
Wow.
love it. They love that
Wow.
stuff. And they walk it every day because they know everyone. They're old, they're retired, and they get to live there for free. They absolutely love it, and they're like my pseudo manager that reports to my property manager. And they're kind of like the man. They love that stuff. Sometimes you buy them a golf cart if it's big enough, but that's kind of how I do it. And then yeah, 60, 70% return on investments, like it's insane. And you own the land, which is awesome.
Dude, I wanted to get into the mobile home park for a while.
Now they can own, now the tenant can own the mobile home and they just pay you a lot rent, or you just own the entire thing. I'd rather own the entire thing, but teach their
So
own.
people wholesale these to you. You say you buy them off your students. You wholesale these, right? You don't
Well,
necessarily wholesale these, but people wholesale them to you.
so I don't like publicly talking about it like crazy, which I'll do here, but like if everyone knew about this, and I sound like I'm like Mr. Scarcity, how many mobile home parks are there in the state of Florida? Like less than 20,000 probably, you know? That's a very small list. And if I had everyone go after it, it would be very niched out. Mostly it's, hey, cold call lady who owns a house. Are you looking to sell anything more? Well, I have a park I just inherited or something like that, and I don't want to deal with this thing, right? And they just want to get cashed out. I like that a lot. So yeah, mobile home parks, they're very rare. I'll probably get three sent to me every single month, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but if I have a 250,000 people marketing for me and the amount of JV deals get sent in, it's so tiny and small. But because I have all my audience basically go after inherited people, like with probates, it just comes across your desk.
We got to
Good.
talk about how to get. We got to talk about how to get into one of these guys.
Oh
First,
yeah.
first property. What? Let's. You're a year and a half in. You're making $100,000 wholesaling real estate. My sentiment on your first property is, I could literally find it right now. It would take me moments to find it right now. I don't want to take away from the podcast, but guys, if you go to Memphis, Tennessee, right now, Memphis, Tennessee, I want you to put a filter on Zillow for 4 beds, 1 baths. You're going to find houses that have been on market for 80 days, 90 days, listed for about 105,000, and sometimes if you're lucky, $90,000. It's going to be a 4 bed, 1 bath in Memphis for $90,000, sitting there for 80 days. For whatever reason, it isn't selling, but it's in good condition. It's renovated. You're going to offer that individual $80,000. You're going to buy that house with a DSCR loan. Creative finance is fun to imagine. I know we love creative finance. I never advocate for getting loans. But the thing about these loans, guys, is that the principal amount, meaning the amount that you're buying the house for, is so low that interest means nothing. It literally means nothing. You're not buying these houses for appreciation. They appreciate at a slower rate than the dollar. That you are going to
Yeah.
you're not going to make money on appreciation. You're going to make money on cash flow. Your goal should be get off the hamster wheel, get off the rat race, retire yourself. If you buy 4 to 5 of these properties, you're done. Here's why. Your payment on that $80,000 with taxes, with insurance, is going to be $640. You can plug it into a mortgage calculator right now. Here's the math on that. You purchase for $80,000. $16,000 of that is going to go to purchasing the property, and you're going to have a balance left over of $54,000 or 64,000. I'm terrible at math. This is why I'm in real estate. And you're going to be paying $640 per month. And guess what the government will pay you? Section 8. If you vet your tenant and making sure that you're not putting some bad person in your property, though, there's a simple solution. Look at their past place of residence, look at where they're living currently, say, hey, can I get a reference from your landlord? If they can't, don't rent out to them. But the government is going to pay you $1,575 for that house in Memphis, Tennessee. For That's a 3 bed, 1 bath. For a 4 bed, 1 bath, $1,750. And now here's the thing: they lowball. They're lying to you. We'll pay you $1,750. No, they're lying. They're actually going to pay you about $1,610, $1,630. They
Yeah.
just argue with you. They argue with you. But here's the thing: you're paying $640. You're rented out for, let's call it $1,575, the amount a 3-1 would rent out for. Realistically, I can say a 3-1's rent is an accurate 4-1's rent on the HUD department. Because if you put it in Memphis, Tennessee, 4 bed, 1 bath, it's by zip code, they're going to give you $1,750 per month, but they're lying. It's $1,575. They're lying. That's just what they do. So let's say that your house rents out for $1,575. I'm always pessimistic with these investments. You have to be pessimistic.
Mm.
If it's renting out for $1,575 and you have a payment of $640, let's take about $250 off of that. Let's call it $1,250. It's actually bringing in $1,250 and you're paying $640. Guys, you are getting $650 a month, even after all my pessimism, after I've just destroyed the numbers. Nope, they're lying. And let me take 20% off of that. My estimation for this is they say they'll rent for 1750. Let's consider it 1575. We say we're bringing in 1575. Let's consider it 1250. That's how the rental business works. You just have to destroy your numbers to get accurate return on investment. But even with all of that pessimism, you have just put down an $18,500 down payment. That's with closing costs, $16K down, $2,500 in closing costs for a house like that. $18,500 is a down payment to receive net cash flow after management, after all of the bullshit expenses that we've talked about here, $700. We can just do the math on that. 700 times 12 year end. What is that? I don't know what 700 times 12 is. Can somebody tell me 700 times 12? Maybe 4,500, maybe $5,000. Your total cost of entry.
400.
Your total cost of entry was 18.5. You paid 18.5 to make $6,000 year one. That's 35% cash on cash year one. And these things are already renovated, sitting on Zillow. If you make them the offer 10K below their listing price and they say no, just offer them over their listing price on a set of payments. You'll make even more money. Here's the thing: a lot of you are like, oh, well, that's all well and good, Richard, but I don't have the credit. DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio loan. It's not credit based, it's cash flow based. Sure, if you've filed for bankruptcy, If you're chapter sevening right now, okay, maybe they won't let you. But here's the thing: start an LLC, guys. Even if your paydex is low, which is your business credit, it's a cash flow based investment for the lender, which is it's the best of the best of the best of the best. Easy 35% cash on cash return. And if I weren't so goddamn pessimistic about my numbers, 50% cash on cash return. That's what I'll say. A year and a half into wholesaling, after you're making $150,000 a year wholesaling real estate, we'll talk about what types of deals and how to do that and how to afford this. But after you're making that much money, cop yourself a Memphis, Tennessee Section 8 rental. Notable mentions: Birmingham, Alabama, St. Louis, Missouri, Akron, Ohio. I think that's your first investment. I think that's your first real estate investment. I had a girl who came to me with $40,000 and she said, I want to retire. How do I do it? Buy five of these. Five of these, making $700 per month. You're making $3,500 per month off of five of the properties. Next year, you're making $4,500, and it compounds and compounds and compounds. When you eventually have one of these properties paid off, you can pull up to 70%, 75% out of the property, use it to buy more properties, and you don't have to pay that money back every single month because your tenant does it. It's just a badass strategy, guys. And then the other aspect of this that you're not, I'm almost done yapping, I promise. The other aspect of this that you guys are not considering: once you own properties, you can talk about it on social media. I own this property over here, and then everybody's jaws on the ground. You're a kid who owns properties. You're a 25, 30-year-old who owns properties. And then so much more business comes from that. I can't even tell you. That's why we're doing this right now. That's why I'm talking to you right now, because what Zach and I know that this does for us is just absurd. We know that there's an absurd result from
That's
social
crazy.
media. If you can film yourself talking about the investments you've made and how you've gotten there through wholesaling, yap session over. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. Yap session over.
Yeah, I like that. I just don't like the whole loan thing. That is just a personal decision on me. I don't like ever being loaned out on real estate that it's at a state. But the one solution to that, which is it's the same thing Richard's doing. I think it's just slower. But hey, why don't you wholesale five subject to deals, make 25 grand, and then take over a subject to deal, give the guy 25 grand, and that's infinite money. That's the way I
Whoa,
look
whoa,
at it.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you just say wholesale five for 25 grand? Wholesale five for 80 grand. Wholesale
I mean,
five
if
for
you
80
can, but I'm
grand.
assuming making 5, 6, 7 grand for a subject too. They're not the best for wholesaling. That's just me. From what I found, yeah, you can get it more, but it's the type of deal you do. But like, yeah, okay, make 25 grand wholesaling subject twos, and then the next subject two deal, use that proceeds into that, and then you have infinite money. That's the
It's a
way I
little
look.
steep to say 25. 25, I'll admit, 25 is a little steep, but let me give you two examples. So,
It is steep.
I got
That'd be
I
a
got
good
to
deal.
25 is crazy. I do have a 25K subject to deal right now. I'll tell you about it. I'm going to say this city wrong, but Slidell, Louisiana, is it Slidell? Is that Slide? How do you
Yeah. Citadel?
There's a I don't know how to say it. Slidell. I'm gonna call it Slidell. But there's a city in Louisiana. I think it's called Slidell. Who am I talking to? Zach Ginn. Um, I think it's called Slidell, Louisiana, and we just got a student named Jimmy and my other student Garrett who got one under contract today. I signed the contract for it today. Get this: $280,000 house, $20,000 down, 2.5% interest. Payment on your loan is 1,300. It rents out for
Yeah.
$2,200. That deal will sell for $20,000, $25,000. But I'll be 100% honest with you. A subject to deal or a mortgage takeover deal is probably going to sell from anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 on average. The reason that I advocate for it so much is because it's a lot easier to get than a cash deal. My students watched me made it a call on Zillow, at least with my method, a call on Zillow. And in one call, we got a yes. Yesterday, I did a one-on-one with a student named Jesse. I found a house in Utica. I don't know. I do virtual wholesale. I don't know how to say these. Utica, New York, or whatever. It was a
Yeah.
duplex, low equity. I made one call, and the agent's like, "This is a fit. This is a deal. This is perfect for my seller." I did my Trojan horse pitch. If you're in the Discord, the Trojan horse pitch is absolutely insane. But I did my Trojan horse pitch. I get a yes right then. Guys, I'm 2 for 2 right now. Two calls, two deals. First deal probably going to make me only 8,000 because it's got a higher interest
Mm.
rate. Not the Sidel one, a different one that I got on Thursday or so. This one, easy $15,000. So I like the subject to deals, even though they sell less than cash deals, even though they sell significantly less than cash deals. It is not
Mhm.
as hard to get one under contract if you're doing on market. If you're doing on market, that's all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, another thing is you can just put, I don't know, 250 grand in stocks. And then from there, you can get a loan on that 250 grand to go buy real estate. That's 100% equity. You can do that too. One thing I'll let everybody know about stocks, I'm not the craziest guy on it, but there's a lot of tax incentives for it. Like I think everyone should get a Roth if they're doing it. I think my second year wholesaling, I couldn't do a Roth anymore because my income limit was it doesn't work too well. I think you make over 160 now, you can't do a Roth anymore, which sucks. But that's just all.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's income
I didn't
limits.
know that. I thought
Oh,
you could always do a Roth IRA. You can't do a Roth if you
so
make
you
too
start
much
making
money?
too much money, they don't let you do it. Oh yeah, it
Wow.
sucks.
Can you do a normal
Yeah.
IRA?
Yeah, you can do normal IRA. I have like 15 SEP IRAs. So like
Wow.
I contribute millions of dollars from a SEP because whatever I pay myself salary, I can write off a quarter of that off. And then I can write off a quarter of my salary of my contribution in there. I'm not, it's a little complicated, but you can pretty much write off 40% of your salary, which is really, really nice. And then I'm in Florida, so no state income taxes. There's ways around that too. I think real estate, if you said only one asset class, it'd be real estate. But there's some pretty gangster stuff. There's a solo Roth 401k, which I believe you contribute 60 grand a year, no tax. Like there's a lot of really cool things there. Now, the only reason I really got into it deeply lately is because I've IRS makes me pay myself a salary. Like I don't want a salary, right? And so, but I can basically use all my salary money and put it into a 401k, and I can write it off personal taxes, which is pretty dang cool. One thing I do look at is I'm big on having rentals that I'm near or in clusters. So, for example, you say Memphis, Tennessee. I hate Memphis, Tennessee for rentals, and that's just me. Have you ever been to Memphis, Tennessee, Richard?
I own houses there. How dare
Have
you?
you ever been there?
No.
You haven't. Um,
Elvis went there though.
Young Dolph.
So
You know Young
okay,
Dolph?
I'll tell you this. Memphis is the hood. Memphis is the hood. You will get killed in Memphis 100%. When you go to
Dude,
Memphis and you go to crimespot.org, which is what I use to underwrite my Section 8 rentals, you've got these little targets everywhere. A target represents a shooting. You will 100% be gunned down in Memphis. It's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad, but
100%, dude, it's pretty bad,
but
man. Memphis
the section 8 rentals is I don't own any. I don't own any section 8
is
rentals there.
crazy.
But if you were to, for example, I'm a big advocate of Tom Cruise's section 8 course. I think Tom Cruise's section 8 course is badass. Of course, you need money to get into that thing.
No problem.
Especially to get into the investment, but I'm just talking up from a if you vet your tenant, if you look at their previous place of
Oh, yeah.
residence and you buy in a spot that doesn't have a lot of crime, if you buy in the right part of Memphis, you can avoid the crime a little bit, and then you're not going to have a tenant who gets killed. But honestly, I'm just talking about from low price point renovated property, cash on cash return perspective. I love Memphis. I just bought a 300K house in Memphis. I love to leak my addresses. 1347 Harbert Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee. I just bought it 2.65% interest. I've got a payment on that bad boy of $1,500. She's renting for $2,400, and my down payment 18K. Oof, oof. Just the
There
best
you
of
go.
the best at 2.6%. But no, I like Memphis for investing. But yeah, if you live there, you'll die. You will die in Memphis. It will be the last place you visit.
One thing I will tell you is, no, I don't say that to be like funny about it, but like Dayton, Ohio, I got a lot of rentals there.
You
Love Dayton.
do, really.
There's 60, $70,000 houses that are not high crime.
But taxes in Ohio just doubled. I used to be a big advocate of Ohio, and I still like Ohio.
Property
But
taxes? Talking
here's
about?
my here yeah, my property taxes in Cleveland just doubled. I don't know if it extends past Cleveland. Maybe it's
Cleveland
city
sucks.
taxes for Cleveland. But I so Cleveland was where I did my first deal. I did my first wholesale deal in Cleveland, Ohio. I made $2,750. It was a for sale by owner property. And I told myself I'm going to buy rentals here, but I learned a couple things.
Mhm.
Cleveland and all of Ohio is wet basement central. What I mean by that is that the question, whenever you make the cold call is your basement dry? Is your basement wet? And the snowpack around the properties melts, seeps into the houses, gets your basement wet. And every single property within the Rust Belt meaning the, Eastern Midwest or so, you have 1890 properties. They're 1890
Yep.
through 1910 properties. So they're really old properties. It snows there every single year. You get wet basements and taxes just went up. And that's the only reason I'm not saying to do this in Cleveland. But the thing is, it still works in Cleveland. You're still talking
Yeah.
25% cash on cash return in Cleveland. It still
I
works.
hate Cleveland though. I'm talking Dayton's like Southwest Ohio. Dayton
Mm-hmm.
area, nice people, great people, working regular jobs, and they are not crazy high crime rates. Cleveland is the area in Ohio that's higher crime. Up and up's Columbus, but that's like that's more for flipping and wholesaling. But those are the areas I like. I love Eastern Pennsylvania, like Reading, Berks County. Like I cluster a lot of rentals there. Those are the areas I like outside of Florida. Southeast United States is great too. I'm not getting into my asset strategies, but one thing I can tell everybody is, of course, put it into a trust that is protected, and the only person who signs the trust is a lawyer who is a trustee. It hides it all. The point of that, I'm not trying to be a hider. I publicly do my taxes, with the IRS, but if you own rentals in Ohio, the holding company doesn't have to go all the way in Ohio to pay the Ohio's taxes. They can be in other 0% corporate taxes, and there's other ways around that where you can really limit your tax liability, and that
Like
makes
Delaware, like Delaware, right? That's where
Delaware's
Apple
not
is.
that fun, man. I mean, Delaware is more of anonymity of the what is it of the board. That's
Uh,
more of for that end. Wyoming got no charging orders, which is really
I'm
really
in
nice.
Wyoming.
That's one area I don't really care about that too much because I'm not doing that crazy stuff. Like if I do, if I was a guru, maybe, but no. Vegas is really cool for it. Uh, Washington State's nice. Tennessee's really nice. There's some interesting ways to do it. But I'll tell everyone, if you're buying rentals and you live in California,
I
you're
have
being dumb. What
something.
are you doing?
I have something to show you. A student
Oh
just
yeah.
sent me this. I have something to show you. I'm live on TikTok right now. I'm killing two birds with one stone, but podcast eats
Oh
first.
wow.
Look at this. Come on, focus. Focus for me. This is a mortgage statement I just got. Oh no, come on. This is a mortgage statement that just came through on that Sidel deal in Louisiana. 2.5% interest on the dot. Look at
Jeez.
that. It's 2.5% interest. What that means to me is that that student found somebody who had a house listed for 280. They owed 260 at 2.5% interest. I don't know what they actually owed, but at 2.5% interest, we took that thing over for like $20,000. And
Yeah.
then we're going to be able to wholesale that to somebody for another 25,000. They'll pay 45, $50,000 with closing costs to enter this deal. Why? Because the cash on cash return works, low ass interest rate, no qualification, no debt to income ratio. And sure, these are buyer benefits that we're thinking about. Seller side benefits. I
Mhm.
was going to lose money on the sale, and now I'm making money on the sale. I think, I think you should, what I think you should do, learn how to wholesale creative finance and cash deals on
Oh
Zillow
yeah.
because you have got a tool belt, guys. You've got a tool belt. Your hammer is cash. Your saw is creative finance. Maybe you have like a shotgun and it's a novation agreement, right? You've got everything that you need on your tool belt. Learn how to use all of your tools. My personal favorite is my creative finance tool,
Oh yeah.
and get yourself 100,000 per year and then purchase a property. I will say though, I actually wouldn't. I don't think you should buy a sub two deal. I think I should buy a sub two deal. I think Zach should buy a sub two deal, and I think you should way later. But the
Mhm.
problem is, a lot of my sub two deals break even, and I buy them for write offs. I just bought one in Tyler, Texas. I bought four properties last week. The one I bought in Tyler, Texas, and Zach's gonna be like, "Why the hell did you buy that?" But it is a $250,000 house. I have
Mhm.
a tenant. I inherited a tenant, and the tenant is paying 1565, and I got a mortgage of 1350. I'm breaking even. But I got a 2.7% interest rate and I paid 20K with closing costs to enter the deal. So I'm like picking up a door in an up and coming US city with over 100,000 people in it at a super low interest rate. I raise my rent. That lease ends in about 3 months, and then I can raise it back to 1,800. And then I've got a little bit of cash flow in there. But my main thing is I'm not having to pay my mortgage. I get tax write offs. I've got a low interest rate. And I don't think you should buy that. I don't think you should, because you shouldn't buy for tax write offs. You shouldn't buy for long term appreciation. You work a job and you trade your time for money. I want you to trade your money for money. I want you to put money into something that results in you cash flowing at a very high return on investment. For me, cash flow is secondary. I'll be 100% honest. The Discord makes $7,000 a day. Even if I'm cash flowing $2,000 a month on a 10K down payment, I literally don't notice it. That's why I tell you to do social media, because it is literally insane. I don't notice it whatsoever. So for you, I would say don't buy a subject to deal. Buy one later when cash flow isn't an issue for you. Buy something that may appreciate slower, but is really going to replace the amount of time you spend working. If you can get $700 a month, how long does it take you to make $700 at your job? It takes you I don't know, 5 days. If you work minimum wage to make $700 after taxes, and you haven't actually made 700, you spent some of that along the way. It takes you
Oh,
five
yeah.
days to make $700. That's 5 days you don't have to work. That's 5 days out of the month that you could be wholesaling and searching for checks to buy more of these properties. You buy five, you never work again. Rent goes up, you never work again. You own five Section 8 rentals. Make sure you vet them though, because it could also be a disaster if you don't vet your tenants well. But that's what I think. Wholesale, use all of your tools. I recommend on market. Zach recommends off market. Both of them work beautifully. I got a 12-year-old with deals, but three in escrow right now. But if you can learn how to wholesale for a year and a half, you know what makes a deal. You know what makes a cash deal a deal. You know what makes a deal with a loaner deal. You know what a creative finance deal is. You're ready to buy your first rental property and make sure it's a cash flow cow. I don't want you to buy just
Yeah.
appreciation. I want you to buy cash flow. I've yapped too much during this
No,
session.
dude, I agree.
We need
I
to get
agree.
more 50-50, Zach.
No, dude, it's good. One thing I'll tell everyone is I think you should buy multiple assets and figure out which one you're most comfortable with. Because some people, and to be honest, I think the rentals gets pushed down everyone's throats so hard because it's real estate. It is, but it isn't at the same time. I think some people just aren't meant to be landlords and they can't do it. For example, um, I personally do not like renting out to single moms because it is the hardest thing in my life to do is to get them out when they have lost a job and they have four kids. Personally, I can't do it. So I is it better to say like I don't like renting out to those people. Not because I'm a terrible evil person, but I've had so many single moms just like I can't pay rent and I have four kids and I have nowhere to go. It's like, well, I'm the type of guy to let them stay there for 3 months and they do nothing for 3 months and then I'm like, bro, what do I do? And like they're crying to me, and I'm like, I just can't do this. And then my my managers are like, what do I do? It's like oh, put them on the street, and then I get the bad publicity with my brand. That, oh, Zach puts a single mom on the street.
Wait, I didn't
And
even
what do you
think
do when
about
they
that.
start doing substances and things like that? And it's like they had a job, they lost the job. So not a lot of people know the reality of that. It's very, very, very tough. Um, and they're like, oh, Zach, well, you knew it was a single mom. No, it was a married mom, and the guy cheated, and now she's by herself. I'm trying to help them out. And then, like, they just bad stuff happens. So some people just aren't built for it. One thing I like doing
Wow.
is I like renting out to dudes with jobs. And I know it sounds really sus, but I can kick a guy out in 5 seconds. I have no care in the world. Now, once you have kids, I
Hmm.
kind of care. But like a dude that's by himself that works as a manager of like a coal plant or something, and he's like, I can't pay rent. I'm like, get out of here, dude. Bye. I could care less. But like when it's like families and things like that, not a lot of people understand that part of rentals. And if you can't stomach kicking people out, you, this ain't the game for you.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. So, guys, Zach has double my experience in this business, probably triple my experience as a landlord. I bought my first property a year and 4 months ago. I
There
bought
we
my
go.
first property in Texas a year and 4 months ago. He has probably tripled, quadrupled the experience as a landlord than I do.
3 years
Um,
ago, I had a tenant who cheated on her girlfriend, and she decided she watched a bunch of Carrie Underwood and put 50 holes in the wall, and then she decided to just really she thought he owned it. I don't know why, and she put cement in the toilets. It was a crazy mess, and yeah. So I've
dude,
had a lot of crazy, but I'm in Florida, so Florida's got crazy people, and so
Florida
maybe.
does have crazy people. I don't buy in Florida, right? I will
Oh yeah,
not
no, I know you
buy.
don't.
I won't but touch anything in Florida. I've seen amazing deal after amazing deal in
Oh yeah,
Florida.
no, I
And
get it,
it
dude.
is there's a simple reason, but that honestly, I have to speak on what you just said. I didn't even think about that. I had never ever even considered the fact that you may rent because I'm like, oh, single mother, good person, right? But what happens if she stops paying? Like, what do you do? Like, morally, I can't get rid of this individual. Like,
Richard, you
you
make
just
too much money to be like, oh, F you. But what
yeah.
about the guy?
Well,
This
we
is
yeah,
first
we
rental
just can't do
property.
that. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. You literally can't do that. But oh, why don't I buy in Florida? I won't buy in Florida, guys, for two reasons. As water temperatures get warmer,
Oh yeah.
hurricanes increase. Not only is there a chance that your property will get washed away, it probably won't get washed away. We're not talking about rising waters. We're not saying, oh, your property will disappear. It's underwater. It's part of Atlantis now. No, maybe like in 100 years or something. But in reality, warmer water means more natural disasters.
Oh
Just
yeah.
chemistry wise, that's just what it means. And here's the other thing: I don't actually think that it's going to hit your house, right? They said horrible hurricanes coming through, going to destroy everything in Florida, the worst we've seen in 100 years. And it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as they said it would be. So I agree. Sure, it probably won't hit your house, but what happens when a hurricane happens? Insurance goes up and up and up and
Oh
up.
yeah.
And here's my prime example of this: Pensacola, Florida. Go to Pensacola, try to cash flow Section 8. Pensacola has properties at $110,000. Your insurance is more than your principal. For people who aren't in real estate, your principal is your payment towards your mortgage. It's the amount that you owe. Your principal and interest payment, we'll say principal and interest is going to be $640 or $650 at 6.5% interest. Your insurance is $500. You're paying $500 a month to insure a shit box in Pensacola, Florida. And honestly, I think that that's going to spread and spread and spread and spread. Even if your house doesn't get hit by a natural disaster, which every 2 to 3 years it might actually disappear, your insurance in anticipation of climate change and everything that's going on is just going to go through the roof. So I don't buy in Florida, but I will say you're probably safe. You're probably safe to own in areas like Jacksonville. Jacksonville is probably fine, but as you get into coastal areas, I won't touch it.
Well, you're half right, half wrong, in my opinion. So one thing is Goldman Sachs moves there. All these big brickle $14 billion companies move. The reason is, if you really understand, there's three cities actually underwater right now in the United States of America that no one really thinks about. First is New York City. They have to pump, I think, billions of gallons out because that city's actually underwater. But they pump it out because it's literally an island that's sinking. Two is Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas, every 2 years is literally the water is insane. Look at last flood in Houston, and then obviously Louisiana. And so we're pretty good with dikes and basically pumping things out. Amsterdam's like that too. So um, Florida's probably going to be like Amsterdam and the Netherlands very, very soon, where we have dikes and systems like that. I'm not worried about that. The insurance is crazy. So one thing I will tell you about that, Richard, is I just actually got my insurance lowered because the actuaries with Citizens, if you know how to play the game, you do really well. So if you look at Cardone Capital and the large, I'd say hedge funds in the area, you can game the insurance system and the algorithm. It's like playing a video game. You know the algorithm, you know where they spawn and you can kind of play. There's certain algorithms on how insurance premiums are met in the state of Florida from Citizens that you can make sure your insurance doesn't get raised like crazy. There's a certain algorithm, how old the roof is, the type of roof, and then how your insurance can go. And then there's certain areas where you can increase your ROI the most when you replace it. And it's a very, but it's not a young man's game. It's a very, very, very advanced game. But that's how I'm able to make the most in Florida. But
You
you know,
buy in areas that you live because you tend to have better results when you're in closer proximity to your houses, right?
also, I mean, everyone's moving to Florida, and it's jacking up the cost of everything, which is probably terrible for the communities, but good for the investor like me. I mean, there's some of these mobile homes I'm getting 1,900. I start out with these tenants at 800 a month, 900 a month. It's crazy. It's
Huh.
absolutely insane. And that's a mobile home, dude. It's a mobile home,
Interesting. I have no rhyme or
right?
reason for not touching mobile homes other than they're ugly. And that's a bad way to invest. Guys, in many ways, I'm still learning. But I see a mobile home and I'm like, this is ugly and I don't want it. I take pride in the fact that all of my houses are fully renovated. Look, you want to see one of a beautiful property I own? Look up 1347 Harbert Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee. That is a gorgeous historic property with original hardwood floors. It is just perfect. I love, love, love to own beautiful properties. There's no rhyme or reason not to buy a mobile home. I don't even know about the investment. I haven't looked into it. I've never even wholesaled a mobile home. The perspective that I bring to this podcast is I am you. I am you. The reason I say that I am you is because I was living in a college apartment 4.5 months ago. 4.5 months ago, I lived at 862 Northwest 26th Street, Corvallis, Oregon. And TikTok, I know you're going to restrict my live for saying that, but look it up. Look up where I was living. I was a college student. I graduated in 2023. And one thing that I see, and this is not with Zach, but I see Jerry Norton, Pace Morby, Brent Daniels, Jameel Damji. How much are y'all worth? And how long have you been doing this? It is hard to see yourselves in that person's position, in that person's shoes, and wondering, how the hell do I get there? Guys, I kid you not, I was $45,000 in debt 3.5 years ago. I bought my first property a year and 4 months, or year and 4 months ago, 9711 Chelsea Circle in Selma, Texas, which is San Antonio. You can get here. And I'm going to lean into the fact that Zach has double to triple the experience of me. But guys, it shows you how quickly this can come up for you. I've got a podcast with one of the veterans in this space. And if you know who his father is too, and also a veteran in this space, but I've got a podcast with one of the veterans in this space after doing my first deal in October of 2021. This is a crazy come up for you if you grab it, if you embrace this business. Anyway, Zach, you said you had a hard stop at 2:30. It's 2:36.
Yeah, I gotta get out of here.
He's gonna
But
get out of here.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So yeah, if you're gonna make some money, I would say make 100K first, focus on the business, start breathing, and then you can start flying. That's kind of the
Yeah,
way I look at everything.
yeah.
So that's what I do. Make 100 grand, and yeah, I think we both are on the same page. It's like, oh, you make money doing this. You're gonna make money either way. I just think be very, very smart with rentals. I prefer it's closer to you. I think that's everyone. But if you are making hundreds of thousands of dollars and you're just not investing, that's really stupid. I've always agreed on that end. Like, what's $100,000 house going to be worth by the time you're 70? It's going to be crazy. If you look at the United States population in the next 90, 100 years, it's going to be insane. Whereas,
Capitalism will destroy the middle class. We are so beyond cooked, but for investors, that's a good thing. If you're on the sidelines, AI and late stage capitalism and the wealth gap, you're so cooked beyond imagination. I can't even put it into words. But
I'm not going
if
to
you get
lie.
into, if you get into wholesaling, don't worry about AI. AI can't create houses. Don't worry about the wealth gap. You're going to be on the other side of the wealth gap, looking down, being like, oh my God, this is a really bad situation. Oh my God, thank goodness I got into this, because you're just going to be cooked. And the thing that that means for us is that a violation warning. I just got a violation. Well, the thing that that means for us, guys, is that property is going to exponentially increase. It's going to exponentially increase. Do a couple wholesale deals, not a couple. Wholesale for a year and a half. Cop your first rental property. I got a listener in the chat right now. His username is Tink, but his real name is Braden. Bro just closed a $30,000 condo sub two in Honolulu, Hawaii, and he has a $10,000 deal closing next week. He's pocketing $40,000. He's putting that into Section 8, and that is exactly what you should do. I think he's been in my program for maybe 2 months or so, but I think he's been wholesaling for longer than that. I'm pretty sure he's done wholesale deals in the past. You know, I really advocate for that. That's what I think you should do. The only thing that I would add on top of that, pick up that damn phone and start talking into it. All right. Yap
there we
session over.
All right.
Any final words?
No, I mean, AI can't own real estate, and that's pretty much the only thing we can kind of hope for at the end of the
Yep.
day. And if you're screaming about AI, I've been telling about AI for a while now, but like AI is coming for pretty much everyone and everything. The only thing that you really can't, that's not AI is not really going to steal is going to be your ability to own things, and just be very, very, very careful with it. And I don't say this in like a doom way, but like AI in 10 years is really going to change how everything is done. Like this is your time to get rich. Like you don't really have like you know how we always say like the boomers like oh man they bought a house for a nickel and a penny now it's worth 14 million. Well, like this is your nickel and a penny moment right now because when AI takes over, it's going to be when you're able to click a button and Zillow AI bot is going to be able to list your property perfectly and handle every the negotiations, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Richard's people to go do a deal subject to the existing mortgage with Zillow AI Realtor bot. I'm just telling you, it's going to be a lot harder to do because realtors decide on the creative finance thing based off of emotion and logic. AI only cares about logic. And same thing with wholesaling. Like it when it's a lot easier to list a deal and you don't have to deal with BS realtors and the realtor fees are half a percent, AI is going to cook a lot of real estate. Not a bad way. You're always going to be able to make money wholesaling. This is your nickel and a penny boomer moment. And my kids are going to be making fun of me of how, wow, you should have gone on it all in. Just being honest.
Two things I'll say. Realtors are destined to go away. Destined to go away. They will be
Yeah.
replaced with AI chatbots. But what is the function of a realtor? To represent the seller and present all offers according to their fiduciary responsibility.
Yep.
If the AI
You know that they don't do that.
is logical, is not emotional, it will present all offers. So AI bot goes to the seller and says, this dude without any emotion wants to take over your debt. And I'm not going to tell the AI how I'm going to take it over. We're just going to say there are multiple ways to take it over. I'd like to take it over. But even if that were to be the case, if I can't do my on market mortgage takeover deals anymore, expired listings. Expired listings, text blast. Text blast expired listings on Zillow. It's for another episode, but I'm Zach has inspired me to get into off market, and I'm currently pulling lists of expired listings the first month that they expire, and I'm reaching out to the sellers to take over their debt. But yeah,
Very
that
good.
is a valid point. AI is going to cook absolutely everything. The wealth gap is going to get much wider. If you're on the wrong side of this, like looking on the sidelines, not learning wholesale, not thinking about how to buy your first property a year and a half into the business, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. It's going to be like one of those dystopian movies where the billionaires live with floating champagne glasses and skyscrapers, and you look down and there's like muck. There's like garbage, like Wally. It's going to look like Wally on the surface with billionaires on top, like Dubai. And it's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad.
Well,
And you really just need to
well,
prepare
the
for it.
bottom's going to have they're going to have their VR, so they're not going to realize they're in the muck. So, it's always, I'm not going to get into how crazy things look like in the future, but it's looking like if you're living in a bad situation, you're going to be able to just tap into a matrix and you don't have to live in your one window
Ready
space.
Player One. Ready
Oh yeah,
Player One. Yeah, Ready
it's,
Player One. Wow.
it's scary,
Nobody
man.
pay nobody pay rent. Somebody in the chat is revolting against us. Nobody pay the rent. Okay, whatever. Well, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in to Why Aren't You Wholesaling? We haven't said the title, but
Oh
this
yeah.
is Why Aren't You Wholesaling? That's the name of this podcast. And we are on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube as of today. Anyways, I'm Richard Taylor. This is Zach Ginn, and we do episodes. I mean, shoot, we don't even know what the official release date is every single day of the week, but you'll find one today. And it won't be this episode. It'll be the first one. But honestly, this has been our best episode. I was so fired up in this. I love this episode.
Oh yeah. I think it was our talk beforehand, but I won't get into that.
That's true. That's true. That got me going. That got me going. Okay. All right. Well, I'll catch you later, Zach. Thanks so
All
much.
right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.